Hey everyone, and welcome back to Lucid9. Everything has been going tits up in the last episode. We are literally in a quote-unquote boss battle with the killer, Mr. Ryuta. And I'm just going to jump right back into it because this is pretty much continuing right into the next day for me. I'm glad I didn't have to wait to play this. At this bold claim, Ryuta tilts his head like a broken doll. I see the dangerous gears in his head picking up speed ever so slowly. Because Ryuta doesn't like games with only pain, suffering, and injury. Ryuta likes to think. Ryuta is intelligent. Ryuta would like to battle of wits just as readily. Even this pipe game, its twisted mix of sadism and psychology. His mind clashing against mine, trying to make me succumb to his methods. Maybe there's a way to pique his interest and bring the floor back into balance. It's the last hope I have. You always were a sharp kid, weren't you? I had high expectations for you, but you've exceeded every one of them. You deserve a gold star. I hope you know that a gold star isn't exactly a great incentive at the moment. Oh, but I read that positive reinforcement is better than punishment, particularly when it comes to children. To be fair, I've always thought of it as a ruse. Punishment gets results. You just need to look at history to realize that. It's because of the whips and taskmasters that the ancient pyramids and the great terracotta army were built. Meanwhile, what has modern humanity done? Skyscrapers? What beauty do those hold? They're glorified prisons, cages of metal and glass meant to trap in pathetic little animals. Is that what you consider success? Building something big? Some people just prefer happiness. Happiness? What a subjective measure of reality. At least impressive structures are tangible. They are made of strong materials carved to loom above the common populace. When you look up, you realize the depth of man's insignificance. Happiness? What can you measure happiness? How many smiles I send per day? Oh, let's not forget the first world dream, living in a mansion with a Ferrari and 1,000 servants. Nothing brings happiness, but so much brings awe. This is just meaningless stall for time, but I'll take it. He's starting to warm up, and weirdly enough, so am I. Maybe happiness is subjective, but awe, does it really bring fulfillment? Doesn't it? Haven't you ever stood on the precipice of a great chasm and just thought, oh, I could just die happy at this moment? It's an unparalleled feeling in the world, child. You seem to be regarding me with skepticism. Then, pray tell, what is your opinion? What makes you happy in this foolish little world? What makes me happy? Something about his question seems to be a trap. Is he waiting for something to use against me? Is it time for another layer of psychological warfare? My friends, I could say, my friends make me happy. Then he'd point out how none of them were here. Now I've endangered the only one who mattered. How friends are simply an arbitrary term for a circle of useless acquaintances. All I would feel is despair. Then what else could I offer as an answer? Being alive. Being alive is to do what? Feel and experience everything that life has to offer? Then Ryuta would say that if the gift of life is enough to bring happiness, then everyone should always be happy. The slave beneath a whip, the trafficked girl in the brothel, the prisoner of war on the rack. And again, I would only feel despair. This game got very heavy with the subject matter. What makes me happy? What fuels me to get up in the morning and keep going? Altruism? Hardly. I think most people in the world are pretty stupid and don't deserve to live. Love? Yes, I'm a fountain of affection. What is there to fuel me? What makes me happy? Anything I think of, I know Ryuta can warp and use against me, but he'll try to break me with my own words. Oh, have I been caught? A shame we had to meet under these circumstances, child. Your mental faculties are truly impressive. Do you understand the theme of my lecture? I can't say I do. Will there be a study guide? You're already in a test, boy. I'm afraid it's too late. Simply put, he who has the most drive has the most strength. And he who has the most strength has the most power. Look at you. You can't even tell me what makes you happy, whereas I gave a confident answer. Why do you suppose that you're so powerless, where here I stand invincible? He even took my lack of an answer and used it against me. I try to tell myself that it's the right decision. Are you saying that you won? I'm just reporting facts. But even if I'm weaker, I can still beat you. I've already beat you. Nobody was supposed to know that you were responsible for the killings. The recent ones, or the independent ones. Ryuta stops in his tracks, his eyes glinting. Well, whatever the independent killings were, it looks like he really was the person behind them. It's a breather that I desperately seize. I try to cover my fatigue by flinging a challenging look in his direction. You've been busier than I thought. Doesn't seem to be too hard. People don't tend to expect much of me. But you've even made friends in high places, High places? This throws me for a loop. What does he mean by high places? I got that information from Natsuki, and she lives by a shabby apartment in District 6. No, I can't be distracted. I have to keep up the conversation flowing, make him lose track of time. Just how many people have you killed? The Aztecs had their remarkable belief system. Would you like to hear it? I just asked In order to appease the gods, to keep the universe running smoothly, they were to offer constant human sacrifices. Priests would rip out the hearts of the prisoners of war while they were still yet alive. If they slacked in performing this ritual, the kingdom as they knew it would fall to pieces. That's why you kill people? To keep a Samu running? What kind of reason is that? Oh, what do you think? I am the priest? His voice drops. He takes a tint of something unfamiliar. My spine tingles in apprehension. He thinks he's a god. God damn. Yep. Damn, Why do I know psychopaths so well? Comes with part being a writer. I'm not the priest, child. I am the god. I receive bloody offerings. I do not give them myself. This city must earn my goodwill, lest I paint the streets red with my vengeance. The ones who scorn me will be obliterated by the very words of their own mouth. Oh, dear child, you know nothing of the beauty of pure, unadulterated strength. I open my mouth, willing to a snarky remark to come forth, but there's nothing. My hands are shaking, tightened against my throbbing stomach. What kind of madness has seized this guy? I strain and open my mouth wider, hoping something will come out, anything. If I don't say anything, if I don't distract him, even if it means I have to listen to more of his insanity. Your antics amuse me, boy, but our intermission must come to an end. We must return to our little game. Too late. The opportunity has been lost, and now I'm rattled and I can't recover. In terms of psychological damage, he won handily. I don't think I could have happened any other way. Like a puppet master overseeing a play, he has total control over every scene. Well, boy, it's your turn. What is your move? We stall. I can't keep hitting her. It's a pity that life doesn't change whether you can or can't do something. Keep stalling. Why? Did that happen to you? Oh, are we having a little heart-to-heart? One more. Let's see if he... Then something must have happened. Something that turned you pretty bitter. You'd love it if it were true, wouldn't you? Hurry up. Clock is ticking, boy. Damn it. This is bad. This is bad. I have no other option. I just have to follow along. My hands shake as I step closer, raising the pipe. Maybe if I can get away with hitting softer. No, it's a dumb idea. I know it's a dumb idea. Ryuta would immediately know, and then he'd make me hit her again. Can't close my eyes. Might accidentally hit her if my aim is off. Kill her if my aim is off. So I keep them open wide until the air pulls tears out of them. Then I swing the pipe. That noise. Her arm hangs limply over the edge of the chair, bent at an unusual angle that raises bile in my throat. How must she be feeling at this moment? How can she stand it? Held captive for no reason, every nerve screaming fire at her. Begging her consciousness to fade, but finding no relief. How can she survive through that kind of miserable existence? Say, kid, you're not looking too hot. Want to call it a sick day? I doubt that's an option, I want to say. Something unaffected and cynical. Something that keeps me safe from the mess of the world. Instead, my mouth opens to pull on a topic to divert the conversation. You said you killed people for fun, essentially. Oh, does that bother you? I assume it would bother most people. But, if I remember correctly, the Aztecs, well, they killed other strong warriors to transfer their strength to the sun. So, what made you turn a bunch of helpless students? Even if I ask the questions, the inner crevice of my mind whispers quietly, is it worth it? Isn't this just prolonging the agonizing demise? But what other option is there? Remember, stall, stall, stall. That was Shigure's thing. And to go along with things. Come to think of it, earlier you mentioned being an executioner. Good observation, kid. Let's just say that it's no coincidence that all the victims connected to this Ikari's son. How fun. You're about to join that number. This makes me falter. Of course, if Yako isn't the killer but has a connection to every single victim, it has to bear significance. How could I have overlooked that? What do you even have against Yako? He's harmless, he's gentle, he feels like a little kid in a broken world, something so stupidly innocent that it's refreshing. I have nothing against Yako. You're asking the wrong question. He has nothing against Yako, but he's killing people close to him. That's an incredibly drastic maneuver. Why would a serial killer suddenly focus his attention on someone like Yako? No matter how hard I think, the answer eludes me. But I can't falter. I can't let him remember to continue the game. Think. If I were Ryuta, if I were some psychotic man who loved to kill people, no, inflict extreme agony, then why would I do such a thing? Was it Yako that I'm not? Was it Yako that I'm not? What does Yako have that I don't? Yako is arrogant, a dreamer, easily excitable, oblivious. No, these are personality traits. Think deeper. Motive. The Ikari's son, Ryuta said before. The Ikari's. If it doesn't have to do with the past history, then doesn't it really know each other that well, after all? Then it's because of money. Money, connections. Yako is the son of two higher-ups at Lemonscape. If Ryuta doesn't have anything against Yako, then could he have something against his parents? If you're aiming for Yako's parents, it seems a lot more effective to target the people around them. Still have that brain of yours, I see. Yes and no, since Yako is just an easy avenue to his parents. But targeting the people around the parents himself, instant suspicion, not to mention artless and cliché. I thought you'd be smarter than that. A little thought bothers me. Why is he so open with his information? Because he's a villain. Villains always spout off their details right before they're caught. No, I don't have time to consider this. Right now, I must have to accept it. Think more. I am Ryuta. Even now, I want to see blood, to hear screams, to... No, something is clashing. Students aren't a challenge. They're too easy for me, the wretched pests. Their deaths are simple and insignificant. They will be remembered for, what, a day, 2, perhaps, 5 years by their families. But eventually they will fade into inconsequential nothingness, because they are young and meaningless. Another tally in a long list of missing persons. Whereas if I could get my hands on a politician, or a world leader, or even a company executive, mourning for weeks, months, years, remembrance in history books. The man who killed the king, or the president, or the emperor, I shall make my mark on society forever, a beautiful thread filling up the space of an intricate tapestry. But instead I've decided to kill students, to capture the insignificant little rodents, just a pressure on the Ikari family. What a joke. What am I even doing this? The Ikari family is threatening me? No, certainly my judgment would be more swift. I could care not about the own death as long as I could have them suffer first. Were they threatening me? I could see them in their rooms in the next night with a knife in my hand and a grin on my face. Capital punishment would be insignificant. I would face the chopping block gladly in that case. Money? Perhaps someone is commissioning me with a monetary incentive. As if I'm paid in blood. Currency has a little value to my psyche. If I'm really needed in the pocket change, a few black market inquiries would do. Perhaps I need something money cannot buy. Something that only a certain commissioner has. And the only way to get it is pressure the Akaris, even if it means killing rabbits. To do that I started with someone only slightly related to Yako, Midori Maino. They would not even notice. Yako may mourn the compassionate imbecile, but to the Akaris it's just an insignificant disappearance. The Toma Hayashi who interacted with their son on a greater level in the orientation group that Yako led. That may raise some eyebrows to cause suspicion, but nothing that the Akaris can prove. Next is Akane, girlfriend of Shoji, who was close to Yako due to the Happy Club. Shoji himself followed thereafter. A spiral of people with Yako Akari as its center. The poor soul would not understand what was going on, but surely his parents would. And in return I would receive something of enormous value, something that money cannot buy, even if it means that I must sacrifice a portion of my dignity. Yama? You, Ryuta, are someone else's payroll. You're a freelancer with a client. You're no artist. You have no satisfaction. How the mighty have fallen. Once a predator feared by all, able to strike whenever and wherever he so pleased. Now a mindless guillotine with no will of its own. How great is your greed that you would betray your love of art for this? But oh, you fool, you've conquered dogs and rats. Silence! His voice seems... I wish they would... See, that's the thing, I'm overacting. And I feel his psyche writing its humiliation so thrilling. When they screamed, how easy it must have been to forget. Just as a man can distract himself with symphonies, so can he distract himself with agony. But when you returned, when you lay your head on your pillow, you must have realized the bitterness of your own insignificance. Rabbits, pawns, you are pest control. Don't test me, boy. But I'm caught up in euphoria. I welcome the distraction from the never-ending cycle of pain and pain that plagued me before. Selling your soul for a delusion. A pittance? Do you never wish to go back to happier times? A time where you were a shadow with a name? The independent killings, nothing is more fearsome than the unknown. The people who knew about them, were they terrified? Did they huddle in their beds every night, unable to sleep, thinking they could be next? Did it stroke your ego knowing that one who held their fates in their hands was you? Or were those killings also the discretion of your employer? Were there further connections that the police simply could not deduce? Was that so primeval commission? Was also a primeval commission? Ryuta grits his teeth and digs his fingers into the nearest desk, but he doesn't say a word. That I'm right about everything. Here you are, the fearsome Cerberus, yet you are bound to a pathetic little leash. Caught up in corporate politics at that. Were there nothing but bigwigs bickering like toddlers? What exactly do you need so badly? I can't imagine you'd be craving love or friendship. Give me a quick reminder. What else can money not buy? You have him by the balls, Yama. Respect, naturally good looks, peace of mind, or, say, an honest politician. Motives, Ryuta. Motives are interesting things, aren't they? Everybody likes to think that their motive is special and unique, but in the end, they're all the same. Money, love, power. Which of those apply to you? Or do you still think that you're all that special? That you're something more than an empty little pup? You know, this is a great, by the way, if you're ever in a hostage situation with a killer, this is a great way to get your ass stabbed, by the way. This only works in movies. That you're something more than an empty little puppet dancing from the strings of someone's fingers. What a sick existence. What an agonizing, wonderfully meaningless existence. Yama, stop it! This is not winning. Rui's voice shocks me out of character, like a fish suddenly pulled out of water. I stand idly for a moment, my mind blank. Not winning. No, but it's killing time. Of course, I wanted to win over Ryuta. I wanted it so badly that I even became Ryuta and let myself stay as him. Even though I despise him more than ever, despised anyone. But even that, it isn't winning. It's just losing. Because to become Ryuta would just be to win over the battle and lose the war. I'm already inflicting injury on innocent students with a metal pipe, just like Ryuta would. If I lost my own mind. Cute display kid. Really cute. He's smiling absurdly. Already recovered, his voice is calm, but I catch a note of tension that wasn't there before. I get the impression that I made a terrible mistake, and if I proceeded, well, he would have snapped. What would have happened? See, as I said, that's a great way to get your ass killed. What would happen if he snapped? Would he have looked like would he have looked like these two students bound to their chairs, broken and helpless, pleading for death? I shouldn't have tried. But what else was I to have done? Just gone along with the status quo? Would that have resulted in anything different? No, what's interesting? You're still missing something, aren't you? You think you've read the whole book. You think you know how it ends. You think you know the whole pattern. You're still blind. You still see only out of one eye, boy, but not the other. Missing part of the pattern. I don't understand. Think harder, boy. So, the consequences of death has to do with Yako. So what? So what? The broken gear in the back of my mind slowly begins to churn forward. Right, all the debts revolve around Yako. Specifically, over time, those debts have gotten closer and closer to their epicenter, most like a whirlpool sucking in its surroundings, closer to Yako. Within the school, the closest people to Yako, are me, Rui, and Masato. The inseparable gang that hangs out together day in and day out, flailing through life with a bunch of rambunctious high school shenanigans. Of course. That's what he was instantly picked up on the phone. That's why he's been prepared for my call. That's why he kidnapped Rui. Because we were already the next ones on his list. No. Oh, that was quick. Congratulations. To be honest, boy, the Kurogane boy should be here too. But guess what? He goes to bed too early. Out like a light. Doesn't answer his phone. I even prepared my whole excuse and everything. I suddenly feel so very tired, weighed down. My intellect is fraying away. I can't feel my sanity bleeding out of my body. I can't feel my sanity. Just let it end. It was all planned from the very beginning. I can't keep holding out. I can't prolong his misery. To try and one-up Ryuta and only end up in a worse state than before, that trend continues. My eyes drift aimlessly to the ground and the pipe swaying limply between my fingers. Blood dripping quietly from the chairs. A small amount, terrifyingly small amount, given how much damage we inflicted. How much internal bleeding must there be? How much pain? I know Ryuta's motive and history, so what? I'm still an accomplice in manslaughter, bit by bit, wiping out the opportunities in this girl's life. The dream of playing on a sports team. The dream of being a pianist. The dream of marrying a normal guy and having normal kids. Shamelessly and brutally striking those dreams from existence with no method of recovery. She's someone who actually has opportunities in her life, and they're being taken away by someone else. Ah, the injustice of the world. You'd be grateful that I'm a patient man. A lesser being would have pleaded for your forearm in layers of your insolence. The mental image pulses in front of my eyelids, and I stumble backwards, nausea surging to my throat. That's right, I'm just a kid trying to fight a seasoned serial killer. A glorified hitman. What was I thinking? I used my hands to push against the desk, shakily trying to prop myself on my feet. I only collapsed bonelessly to the ground, legs like gelatin. I can't continue this way, not much longer. I see blood on the edges of the pipe, my hands, blood that's not there, blood that I know isn't there, but blood that still weeps down the metal and coats my hand. As I fall, all is silence save for the strangled sobs of 200 children, two dying siblings side by side. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Well, guess it's my turn again. You know, I'm really giving you an advantage here by going first. Now you'll always be one hit ahead. Please, let's just stop. He ignores my faint whisper and steps forward, adjusting his grip on his pipe. The boy whimpers, incomprehensible words spilling out of his mouth. Sorry, kids, this world just doesn't listen to begging, and neither will I. He swings the pipe in with a vindictive justice, perhaps a payback for my insolence. I flinch instinctively this time, I barely missing the moment of impact. And then, a chair screeching against the ground, a piercing scream that rends the air, a light, sweet chuckle from a man who's lost his mind. As I force my eyes open, I catch a familiar pungent smell. Vomit, dripping from the boy's mouth, pooling over the sides of his chair to the floor below. My stomach turns over, my grip rattles against the pipe. Yes, this is life, children. The beauty of pain has no substitute. I step forward, forcing words out of my dry mouth. We need to stop. I can't handle this. Ryuta swivels on me, the joy in his eyes immediately dissipating. We're just getting to the good part. You saying you're gonna forfeit? Quitters never prosper, boy, and you wonder why you never prospered. I drop to my knees harder than I intended. The shakiness in my limbs, my legs are solid blow against the ground. This is no longer an act. Groveling and showing vulnerability, it's just not another strategy anymore. I have no other way out, no other hope. Please, don't do this. Do what? I can't find the words, so I only sweep my hand around the room. Oh, all of this? The whole captivity thing? The game? The fun? I manage a nod. Then, will you lick my shoe? I ain't no fucking bootlicker. He stamps his foot in a puddle of the boy's vomit, shaking it teasingly at me. I don't make a move. I'm waiting. I open my mouth, fighting for words. Nothing comes. The vomit gleams on the sole of the shoe, mocking me. Rui makes an instinctive sound of distress, gripping her chair with whitened hands. I stare at the shoe, willing myself to lean forward. I don't move. You see, boy, you're not ready to really beg. Why? Because you're still clinging to your pride, pathetic as it is. Some part of you believes that you still have control over the situation. Some part of you believes that some miracle will bail you out. If you were really ready to beg, if you really threw away your pride, you wouldn't be aiming for the limbs, no. Then you'd hold that pipe, you'd be aiming right at the skull. That is your only hope right now, the only hope of all of you, death. But sadly for you, I don't like to rush my executions. It's just such a waste. I shakily clamber to my feet, weighing my arms on the table to pull myself up. Pride, belief, control of the situation. No, you do have control of the situation, and you're dragging it out so Shigure can get here. Do I really have any of those things? Maybe he's right. Maybe if I really was hopeless, I would have already crushed two skulls and resigned myself to a long, excruciating death. But I stand here with a pipe ready to hit again. Why? So, now that your little dramatic stint has ended, I believe it's time for your turn. He tilts his knife against the moonlit in Rui's direction, sending a fresh reminder of the stakes. I'm supposed to be stalling. Remember, stall. So, you don't like to rush. I know your little tricks, boy, and I'm not in the mood to entertain them. Okay, play the game, play the game, play the game, shit. I grip the pipe, arms shaking as I raise it over my shoulder. But aren't you stuck here forever? The fight isn't getting too tiring? Aren't you exhausted? You're not strong enough to face this. I shake my head and squeeze my eyes shut, trying to knock the voices out of my head. We can't do this, Yama. This is wrong. We can't. I swing the pipe. No. The pipe drops out of my shaking fingers. I lean heavily against the nearest desk, my knees too weak to support my weight. I can't do this. Oh, sure you can. You're doing great. Ryuta lifts the pipe over the boy, whose face is coated in a mixture of sweat and tears, streaking his hair against his forehead. The boy's eyes slide to mine, begging silently, hating the day he was born. Ryuta sends an icy smirk with a sheen of madness, reminding me of my earlier behavior. Payback, he seems to be saying, but I do nothing. Ugh. The note is raw this time, raw from an overused throat that has been screaming more than it should. Then it descends into silence. I can hear the breaths of two students rattling in their lungs, shallow and anguished. Blood is starting to trickle from their mouths, slowly down to the corner of their jaw and dripping onto the pristine uniforms. Death would be the fair, better option. How much time has passed? It feels like days stretched out pushed against each other. Practically, I know that I can be more than a few hours. The sun hasn't started rising yet, but holding out for this long only seems to be delaying the inevitable. And in the meantime, harming innocents along the way. Why did you have to be you? Who? Be specific, boy. I thought, I wished it wasn't you. Shape up and tell me. Ambiguity helps no one. You shouldn't have been the killer, Ryuta. He was supposed to help me. He was supposed to get me through school, through drama, through life. Not this, never this. Stall. I thought you were with us. Why, do you feel betrayed? I thought, of all people, it wouldn't be you. Unfortunately, that is a fallacy in your own thinking. But why? Why you? You know nothing, boy. Quit your dawdling. Fuck. I raise the pipe, but my grip falters and my eyes turn to the girl. She no longer has the hate in her gaze. She doesn't even have the slightest hint of anguish. Everything is just empty. I whisper it again, the trivial excuse that comes nothing to help the situation. I'm sorry. This time she responds quietly, moving nothing but her mouth. I know. And I swing the pipe. The blows resound against my arm as the bone of her leg fractured beneath the hard metal. The resulting scream is just another repeat, another skip on a broken record player. I falter backward, the pipe rubbing against raw hands, reminds me that every bent limb, every cry of pain is all my own doing. No one held my arm. No one swung the pipe. Every blow was my choice. No one bears the blame but me. And I know if I can continue to hold on, there's no sign of sirens in the distance, no janitor making his rounds, not even a student in sight. Just 4 teenagers and a serial killer with a knife. That, and one pipe, one solid pipe in my hands. I could say that I don't know what to do. I could say that I'm helpless. But if I would be far more accurate to say I know exactly what to do and I'm just too scared to do it. What, no begging this time? Why am I so disappointed? He strikes the boy again, a brutal blow that crushes his fingers. As the boy retches and screeches, choking on his own vomit, the wet, crumpled cough that results is far more painful to hear than any scream. It's sounds of a human who's slowly dying. Stop it, please, somehow. I step to the side of the girl, gripping my pipe so tightly and the rough patches beginning to dig into my palms. I've gathered enough time. I tried my best. The police aren't coming. In the situation where there should be a way out, any way out, there is none. Only relief I can bring in murdering as many of these students as I can. Murder. I've heard it so many times that taking a life changes you. That once you get blood on your hands, you stop being human. What will happen in this case? Killing this girl, turning me into a monster? I don't know. I just don't know. There are 3 innocent students here, and if I don't do something, they'll be stuck in this never-ending cycle of agony. And it would have been better if I just died earlier. It would have been better if I just killed them earlier. I don't want this, but is there any other choice? I just want everyone to be okay. What the fuck? I got an achievement! You know, this is a calculated decision, but Jesus Christ, I'm bad at math! But I falter. I stand stiffly, the pipe frozen in my hands. Should I just hit her without killing blow and let the game continue? I can't kill her just to take the easy way out, but I don't think I can keep sustaining my sanity. You can't attack Ryuta. He would just kill Yama and then it's over if Yama dies. You have to stall. It would be easy. Everything would be over. You don't need to bear this burden. This is what my mind is whispering to me, but I don't know whether to trust it or not. If I could be seeing the ending, I would know. If somehow end up getting out of this, then wouldn't she be glad to be alive, even with those injuries, because at least she has a second chance at life? The pain, this suffering, it'll hurt and it'll scar, but maybe she could find her dream career or marry a wonderful husband, something that just makes living worthwhile. But if I won't get out of this, if the only thing that is in store for us is an agonizing death, against which we're fighting in futility, it would be better if I just killed her in a very first stroke. How can I take this judgment? How can I possibly predict that burden? Can I really choose to end someone's life with my own hand? I can see the ending. I don't understand fate. I wish I could know the answer, but there's nothing for me. Nothing, no one can see the future. If you dawdle any longer, kid, Rui gets the short end of the stick. Or the pipe, however you prefer it to say. No more time, no more chances. I've held out as long as I could. I raise the pipe over my head, aiming it directly line in the girl's skull. She smiles tremulously in understanding and closes her eyes. Acceptance, perhaps even gratitude. Because somehow we've landed in a situation where a quick death is merciful. What if I had been faster? What if I had been smarter? If I had caught Ryuta before today, none of this would be happening. Why did I still, in one place, allow this to happen? My arms shake as I will them to descend. I can't hesitate. I need to strike decisively. If I don't, the result will only be unconsciousness and splitting headache, and no clean death. The girl doesn't deserve to wake up and again into this nightmare. No one does. And with that, I guess it's time to become a murderer. I swear to God, if I fucked up. I raised the pipe even higher, counting softly in my head. 3. I'm sorry I wasn't enough. 2. I'm sorry you had to face this. 1. When from outside the windows, light blasts in the classroom, followed by the shrill overtones of a megaphone. Shiguri made it! Ryuta, stand down. You are surrounded. Who's Katsu? Release the students or we will shoot you. Am I hearing things? In my mind, so desperate for reprieve that it's throwing of whatever it can stop my pipe. My eyes instinctively search out Rui's. Her expression is a mess. Horror mixed with sorrow, mixed with relief. It's real then. Shiguri came. No, wait, it's not over. We're still in the room with Ryuta. 2 students are still in very dangerous position where they might lose their lives. I glance at Ryuta. He's frozen in shock, his hands automatically patting down his pockets, searching for his phone. The phone that I smashed to bits with a metal pipe. It just solidifies my suspicion. He would have been notified if I hadn't managed to break the phone. While Ryuta's still in shock, we have to run, now. He'll chase us. He won't be able to stop himself from chasing us. I lock eyes with Rui, then jerk my head to the door. Thankfully, Ryuta is still transfixed on the scene outside, mouth agape in disbelief. Rui quietly slides from her desk and slides along the wall, painful inch by inch, she comes closer. Hey. I immediately seize her hand and we tear off, running as fast as we can on our shaky legs. We don't spare any words. We only shoot up the stairs, breaking onto the rooftop. The smart thing for Ryuta to do would be staying right where he is and using 2 remaining students as hostages to secure his escape. But he won't do that. He'll chase after us, furious, bowling anything out of his way to reach us in time. So at this moment, the best thing we can do is run. The air is bitterly cold. It blasts at our face as I lead Rui to the edge without breaking his stride. See? The line that goes through this row of pots? Run over the edge there. What? Jump. To her credit, she does, leaping over the low railing to the rooftop and plummeting to the ground below. Except, it's not the ground, but a school pool. The pool over which Yako, Masu, and I stood last year with umbrellas in hand, testing if we could somehow fly them with them. I hated Yako for weeks after that moment. I never thought I would be grateful to have joined him. Rui lands safely with a splash and scrambles to the side as fast as he can. I force myself to wait a few agonizing moments for her to swim out of the way, then vault over the edge and... Oh, no, you don't. An overpowering hand snatches my collar and yanks me back, crashing my windpipe against the jacket. I'm slammed against the ground on the rooftop, flat on my back. Ryuta stands over me with a knife loosely handled between his fingers, toying with the edge of my collar with the tip of the blade. His entire face is saturated in a terrifying mix of fury and ecstasy, something that sends chills down my spine. Cute. Really, boy, that was quite cute. He lifts me up and presses me against the railing, setting the flat of his blade against my cheek. No, it can't end this way. You know, I'm okay with Yama dying, to be honest. It's a worthy sacrifice. If I was in his place, the girl I loved was in this situation, I'd sacrifice myself. What a good-hearted soul, ensuring the escape of Rui before you jumped. Someone like you needs a reward. He abruptly turns the knife until the edge rests slightly on my cheekbone. I flinch instinctively, which only broadens his grin. If you want to beg, boy, now would be the time to do it. Like a rat sprinting through a maze, searching for the only chance at exiting, my mind races for a solution, something, anything. No, 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 nothing. Wait. Do you not wish to play a bigger role in society than an inconsequential pawn in this game of life? Or will you restrict yourself to the confines of your own abilities just because of her? One last chance. This is being vaguely specific. I look at Ryuta square in the eye, willing my voice to steady with every last bit of my strength. She was disappointed in you, wasn't she? The mind games! The result is immediate. Ryuta's grin drops and the grip on his knife loosens just slightly. His eyes turn completely blank, unseen. I know for certain that it's in his mind. He's recalling a dark moment, a terrifying memory, something locked away that he'd never let himself know, let alone a stranger. Remembering tears of regret, a whispered phrase, words that have haunted nightmares every day since they were uttered. I don't allow myself to dwell on the thought before I grasp what I'm doing. I'm already seizing the handle of Ryuta's knife and turning the blade. What? Shoving it with more force than I've ever exerted in my life, driving the tip right through his abdomen. His body jerks like a rag doll, but not a word passes his lips. The only sound I hear is the quelch of tissue and organs against metal. For a moment there's silence, broken only by the distant flare of police sirens. His grip loosens and his weight falls on my shoulders, driving my arm painfully against the railing. A ragged whisper drifts to my ears. Such as our lot, Yama Ishimoto. We are a disappointment. Then, with sudden strength, he grips my shoulders and tumbles over the railing, pulling me with him. My stomach lurches at the terrifying grasp of a gravity as we plummet to the school pool below, falling from the school roof, seized by a serial killer. This is what my existence has been. One struggle for life and another a constant misstep, a wandering in the wrong direction. Now left with two innocent teenagers, broken and bleeding, their minds irreparable, even their bodies are not. A man, once intelligent, once admirable, now driven mad, a knife fixed in his stomach. A clean, polished school ruined forever by a legacy of violence. And who knows how many lives shattered. The air tears at my face and clothes, screaming past my ears. Ryuta's blood flies from the wound, coating my front of my jacket. That's right. I stabbed someone. We crash into the pool with stinging force. Tendrils of blood disperse into the chlorinated water like spider silk. Ryuta's iron grip on my shoulder loosens. The impact bubble gurgles from his lips, brushing past my face as they pop to the surface. I'm no longer holding the knife, but I still feel the form and weight of its handle between my fingers. This is what I've done. For a moment I let myself drift in the freezing water. There's no point in swimming up to the surface, really. Wouldn't it just be easier to just drift away? Come back up to the world, and I'll face a long hospital trip, a court case, catching up on essays without second-wave world civilization worksheets, on diverging trigonometric theorems. Take that exam, go on to some university, major in something or another, white-collar job, marry, have kids, die. That life is depressing. All this after thrashing another human being's system to a pulp, someone who might not recover physically and who will never recover emotionally. Is there even a point? Existence, nihilism, the belief that there's no meaning, no value, nothing to life. I vaguely remember being terrified of the notion when I first heard about it in class. Most students just laughed it off. How stupid, how depressing, life has no purpose. Whoever made that up has issues. But it was just too close to me. Living a life of homework, keeping my head down and going through each day, wondering where I was and what I was doing. Maybe if I was trying too hard to find the meaning of there was none. Maybe I've been desperately grasping for straws to find some kind of significance in an inconsequential existence. From a strictly technical point of view, this is not the time to be thinking philosophical thoughts. Being at the bottom of a pool, just an arm's reach away from a serial killer, probably with only 30 seconds left before I run out of breath and start drowning, any sensible person would leave the Socrates session to another day and wait until basic needs are met first. Guess I'm not as sensible as I thought. Either that or I can't bring myself to be. You can lead a student to error, but you can't make him breathe. That's how the saying should go. Maybe. I should just sleep. I suddenly feel so tired. Clear. I think I've been here before. That's right. This is a familiar road. There are signs at an intersection, I think. It's strictly in rusted, worn from use. Rickety. There's no words on it, just two arrows, one pointing forward, one pointing backwards. I'd just like to stay here. A fork in the road, and such a dangerous thing. Left, right, one-time decision, and it turns out that you run into an obstacle. Then you'll find yourself wishing that you made the other choice. Then, don't you start overthinking everything? Clear. What if I'd taken the other road? What if the other road was worse? What if there was another road if it only looked harder? What if I hadn't taken a road at all? What if I'd gone backwards? Yama can't die. Not after all this. Not after I got an achievement. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. John Steinbeck, I believe. And that has made all the difference. A poem... Robert Frost. Oh my god, my English teacher would kill me. How did I not remember that's Robert Frost, not Steinbeck? Ugh. I'm sorry. Please don't kill me. A poem written by Robert Frost, originally intended to be a simple teasing joke, a hint of playful satire and indecision. But people saw it as something else. Even though they weren't poets, they started adding their own kinds of verses to the composition. Independence, individualism, science, discovery, curiosity, free will, and the human condition. Poor Robert Frost. Suddenly he had written an entirely different poem, even without touching his pen. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I Heavily medicated, Doctor. Anytime he's coherent, he thrashes around. We have to sedate him every time. How long? 2 weeks. The record? Here, sir. I assume that he screams for her. He's referring to the other patient. I think so, sir, but he's still recovering with therapy. We haven't been able to get her in here. What's her progress? She started speaking again after her parents came with the photo album. Here's also hoping that the daily fresh air will help her walk. And about her arm? Psychosomatic, like her legs. Oh, the girl that we be... Okay, they're alive, though. That's good. We'll be monitoring it over therapy. Good. She'll likely be our fastest ticket to his recovery. But it might be a while before Miss Hayata is able to... Rui? Ah, Mr. Ishimoto, you're awake. Can you see me? Rui. Mr. Ishimoto, can you tell me? Where's Rui? Where did you take her? You know, that goes to show Yama loves Rui. If that's the first thing you think about when you're coming to from a damn near coma, she's supposed to be here safe. Hold him down. Show me Rui, my own two eyes. Diazepam. Give her back, give her. And the cold drug takes us away. Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop you off your head. Chip, chop, the last man's dead. Sometimes I finally wonder about children's nursery rhyme. Why do they let your kids listen to such twisted ideologies? Children aren't supposed to deal with that kind of stuff. They're supposed to be innocent. Supposed to be innocent. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and, well, broke his crown. My words suddenly feel warm. What is that? What is happening? Why is it happening? I suddenly get the impression that I'm awake. I think someone's holding my hand. The tip of my fingers feel warm, like they're being cradled in a loving palm. Everything else is blinding light that drills into the back of my eyes. Home. Home is here. Home. Finally you got to visit you. I'm sorry for the wait. I had to go through therapy to start talking again. I know that the whole thing is over, thanks to you, but whenever I close my eyes, well, I guess I'm really thankful that the doctors could help me. I just hope that it'll be the same for you. Well, I'll let you rest up. You need a lot of it. Oh, and this old thing? Doctors say I'll be out of it in a week. It's apparently all in my head. Honestly, though, a wheelchair's not all that bad. I kind of feel like royalty. That's Rui. You know how they had those, what are they called? Sedans? and they got carried around all the time. You mean limos? I guess this feels like that. Oh, and Yama, I love, I, I love laughing at your grades. Oh, hurry up and get well, dummy. Aww. I dream a little longer. My dreams are softer now, a little more delicate, like lace instead of sandpaper. I see a young kid grasping the hands of his older sister. In another world, that kid grows up to be more confident, more assertive. He learns how to deal with bullies so that he doesn't bother his sister. He learns how to study hard and make his friends play soccer like all the other boys his age. He doesn't withdraw, lost in his room. He doesn't keep to himself on the playground. He's a happy young boy who turns into a happy teenager. He goes to the prestigious middle school in the area, the academy, to follow his sister's footsteps. Because his family never left the city. His family never fled to a suburban little town 3 hours away from Isamu. His family stayed because this other world there was never an event that had to do with a bus, a blizzard, a loose thread, a frozen river. So the young boy also stayed. Maybe he meets a lively orange-haired girl in this middle school. Maybe he befriends her. Maybe because she's lovable and bright and impossible to dislike. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he falls in with a different crowd, a sea of faces like that play soccer and grabs ramen on snowy days and studies in the library when it's raining. Either way, he flourishes, loves his life, maybe dates once or twice. He studies hard for college entrance exams, and he passes with flying colors in this world. He makes it to the university of his dreams. He studies something that he loves, graduates, finds a girl, gets married. Maybe she has orange hair, maybe she doesn't. He finds a good job, has kids, smiles like an idiot when his daughter wraps her fingers around his pinky. He'll name her after his sister, the one who's alive and well, who married a decent guy and had kids of her own. When that boy who turned into a teenager, who turned into a man, will wake up one day and he'll be happy. He'll be whole and he'll be wondering if this was all there was to life. I peel my eyes open, sluggishly, like they haven't done so for a decade. My muscles feel weak and lifeless. Bindled slug on a sidewalk, my throat's dry, my head is smarting. So, look like I'm in a hospital. I notice that the nurse at my bedside fiddling with the IV drip on the table. She seems tired, drawn eyes, tight frown. I clear my throat to get her attention. Excuse me. The words ejected a squeezy croak. The nurse jumps to a raw noise but relaxes when she notices me. Oh, how wonderful you're awake. Her voice is chipper, but nothing... I notice how she eyes me with caution, like I'll lunge out of bed and strangle her if I make any sudden moves. Do you remember your name? Yama Ishimoto. Good. Do you remember how you got here? By ambulance, I assume. I wheeze in dry laughter. Everything seems funny. The nurse eyes me for a minute, then presses the intercom. Doctor, the patient's awake. Can you speak with him? I'm going to end here. I feel like a nice aftermath will do good. We stopped the kill. We saved Rui. We're alive. Those other two kids are alive. Did we kill Ryuta, though? That's the only question. I'm wondering now. I hope we did, to be honest. If you enjoyed this episode, and if you enjoyed this series, leave a like and share it around. It helps me grow as a channel, and I appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter to know when my videos go live as well as to know when I'm doing something else. The link to that's in the description below on the front page of my channel. And with all that said, this has been Black Phoenix with another final episode of Lucid 9. Thanks all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.